Pro Tunes.
Scout, Chapter 9. It's fall now. Smells like it too. 5 episodes of Star Trek later, I'm writing to you again. I'm doing well in school. I wrote a paper about Star Trek. I got a B+, almost worthy enough to show Pony. I missed by a smidge. We were given the assignment to promote a product. Mr. Arthur said I just blabbed about it and it lacked structure. I'm supposed to make you excited about it, and not me writing excitingly about it. I guess that's fair. I wish I got an A, though. I dwelled on it for a while, to be honest. My dad has been keeping up with it. Star Trek, that is. I watched episode 3 with him. The one with the guy who had the silver eyes. It was kinda nice. My mom watched it too, but she kept asking questions. We both told her to be quiet, and together my dad and I answered her questions during commercial. I don't think she's as into it as we are. Maybe next time, I'll stay home and watch, instead of going to Ponyboy's house to watch, even though it's in black and white, which is in a couple of days. Turns out, Angela knows Ponyboy, or knew him. They finally cross paths, which I guess is inevitable. Pony went to go meet me at my locker. Angela decided to finally give me my bag. Finally, it became my turn after almost 2 months. "Oh, who's this?" she asked me as she arrived. Oh no, I thought. I managed avoiding seeing her without Pony around. He looked over at her. She got a better look at him. "Ponyboy?" she asked. "Hi, Angela," he said back. "You know each other?" I asked. She ignored me. She just looked at him in disbelief, and Pony looked amused and didn't answer me either. "More like Pony Man," Angela said as she punched him in the shoulder. I rolled my eyes. "I remember being taller than you, man," Angela said. "It's magic," Ponyboy said. "It's puberty," I said sarcastically. They both still ignored me. "You've been hanging around Scout?" Angela asked. I gave her the name, Pony said. Angela turned to me, as if to say, "You didn't tell me." "Well, I better go. The bell rings soon," Ponyboy said. "I'll see you around," he said lastly as he left. "Yes, I will," Angela said in a chummy tone. As he walked away, she was checking him out. Angela turned to me and said, "He's on my list. Angela likes. I want him." "What about Brian?" I asked. "Angela always gets what she wants," she said sassily. "Well, you can't have him," I said. "Why? Is he taken?" she said. "No," I said. "Good. That means I don't have to steal him," she said back. She thought about it for a minute. "You're not into him, are you?" she said. No, I said. "Then why are you trying to hide him?" she said back. "I'm not. I didn't mention him on my list, did I?" Little does she know, I almost did. I mean, the guy has a good look to him. Even Angela seems to agree. Anyway, "Good, 'cause you wouldn't stand a chance against me," she said. Wow, how arrogant, I thought. And she said it so casually also. Then she asked, "So, why can't I now?" The bell rang. "Whatever," I said. "Saved by the bell." "Fair enough," she said lastly. "Her and Pony? No way. It just won't work. And she's not all that. She thinks she's this little princess or something. She's a brat is what she is. And yes, I've been hiding Pony. She's a bad influence. Plus, I like my little group the way it is. Me, Pony, and Two-Bit. It's just fine with me. I hope she wouldn't start sitting with us. She has her own table she sits at. I don't want her to interfere with the Three Musketeers. I don't think Angela has an attention span for it. Plus, we are well into the book at this point. She would probably try to get everybody to do something else. Whatever she wants to do. I don't want her interfering with Pony and I talking about books and watching Star Trek, or going to see movies. Although he's invited me, I've never had any money to go. I'm not hot on the idea of asking for money for obvious reasons, or watching sunsets. Pony would have to divide his time to do mindless things and listen to her blab about herself. I couldn't think of what to tell her when she asked why I can't, but that's basically the reason. I don't want her to interfere. She just doesn't fit in our group. She's got her own little group going on anyway. She probably wouldn't like 2-Bit's jokes either. She's so serious and self-absorbed. She doesn't even care about Brian. She's willing to just toss him aside. I just gotta trust Pony can use his 2 cents. Her and Pony? Oh god. He will see how repulsive she is. They hadn't been in contact for a while, it seems, but maybe he already knows how repulsive she is. I met a couple of people recently, one whom I like, and one not so much. I decided to wake up early one day to walk over to Ponyboy's house and surprise him before school to walk together. Then, when I arrived, a car was sitting in Pony's driveway. A lanky greaser sat on the hood, crossing his legs. His hair's combed back on the sides, with a side part. Strands of curly hair falls down his forehead. His hair's cut neatly at the back. His hair's very tightly slicked. You can tell his curly hair tries to resist it. He looked about 16. He has an annoying face you just want to punch. He has dark blue eyes and a cut over his eyebrow on the left side. Honestly, it looks like he shaves it that way. He also has a piercing on his left ear. He was wearing a leather jacket and dark jeans. He had his arms crossed, looking at the front door, probably waiting for Ponyboy. He turned over and noticed me. I kinda stopped in my tracks. I decided to just casually walk over to Ponyboy's front gate. He walked over to me from the other side. I was hoping he wouldn't. I wanted to walk right past him to the door to avoid him. But I couldn't. He casually leaned up against the gate and said, "Hey girly, just gonna walk past me?" "Girly?" I said. "Yeah, I made the right decision to walk past you." He blocked the gate and said, Okay. Listen, you're feisty. I like that. "I'm Curly. What's your name?" I knew if I didn't say it, he would pester me some more, so I just spilled it. "I'm Scout," I said. I tried to walk past him, but he stayed blocking my way. "Come on, that's your name?" he asked. "What's the deal? You said your name is Curly," I said back. "What's your real name?" he asked with his rat-faced ugly smile. "Scout is all you're getting. Now let me through," I said aggressively. "Give it to me. Your real name's the password," he said while still blocking my way with an annoying smirk. I swear I was about to smack that grin off his face. I crossed my arms and said, "Fine. Pony has to come out sometime." His expression changed. I outsmarted him. He tried to make fun of me, saying, "Psh, what kind of a nickname is Scout anyway?" I think he wanted to get back at me. "Were you named after Curly from the Three Stooges? 'Cause that would make sense," I said back to him. He looked mad, but trying to keep his cool. He approached me. I think he wanted to tell me off, but then Pony walked out the door. We both turned around to see him. He looked surprised. That's what I was hoping, but not for Curly and I. I just wanted it to be me. "Curly!" Pony yelled. He ran over to him and opened the gate and gave him a handshake. He didn't even acknowledge me. "You're finally out of the reformatory," Pony remarked. "Yeah, man, finally out of that dump," Curly said. "Is that a scar over your eye?" Pony asked. "Yeah, man. Got into some fights with some guys in the reformatory, but you can't out-tough me," Curly said. He probably shaved it like that. Pony looked impressed, examining it. I didn't even see a wound, just a bald spot. He's probably a phony. "And you got an earring," Pony remarked, as he was checking out his left ear. Curly answered, "Pierced it myself." "Did it hurt?" Pony asked. "Nope," he said cockily. "That's because I'm not a wimp. 'Member this?" Curly showed the tip of his finger, which had a scar on it. It looked like a burnt mark. Pony showed the tip of his finger, which was also burned. Still got the chicken mark, Pony said. I figured they played chicken with lit cigarettes. Want another go? Curly asked, while pulling out a cigarette. I'm gonna pass this time, man, said Pony. Still chicken, huh? Said Curly. Pony chuckled and said, I just think my days of burning myself is behind me. I was proud he said that. Pony just seems too smart for that kind of thing now. I leaned against the fence beside Pony. Curly passed him a cigarette, but Pony declined and said, no thanks. I worked real hard to stop smoking for track. Plus, we gotta get to school. When in the last 6 months did you become such a square? Curly asked. I wanted to say something to defend him, but Pony answered quickly. Derry and Soda bust their asses at work, so I want to do my part. Suit yourself, Curly said. At this point, Pony paid no attention to me, so I made a grunt. Pony turned to me and said, Hey, Scout, calmly while nudging me with his elbow. I was about to say something, but Pony walked over to the car Curly was sitting on earlier. Is this yours? Pony asked. Curly responded, Nah, Tim is letting me borrow it. When I get a ride, it'll be much better than this one. I tell you that right now. Pony then said, Listen, Curly, it's good to see you, but... Then he looked at me and gave me a smirk. Scout and I have to get to school now. I got a little excited because I thought we were going to get along to walk to school and finally get away from this Curly character. That's why I'm here, Pony Boy, Curly answered. He continued, My old school across town don't want me no more, so I transferred over to your school, and I'm going to give you a ride. No kidding, Pony said. He continued, I was meaning to ask your sister about you. She started high school at Walker Ridge. There's more of him, I thought. Oh, God. Curly continued. I offered her a ride, but she got a ride from her boyfriend, Brian. Wait, I yelled. I didn't mean to, but I was surprised. I think it startled them. Your sister is Angela Shepard? I asked. Yeah. Figures you know her. The whole town knows about the Shepards and the Shepard gang, Curly responded as he took a last drag out of his cigarette and then put it out. I was shocked, but not at the same time. Curly is obnoxious, self-absorbed, only cares about being tough. I had only just met him, and I could read him like a book. I hadn't heard of the Shepard gang, but I assumed it was a greaser gang. This made me further not want anything to do with him. I didn't want Pony to have anything to do with him either. Curly is a no-good hood type, but Pony had an entire 14 years of life before me. I have to expect that. Curly gave us a ride to school. So much for a surprise walk to school. During the ride, Curly talked about old times with Pony. A lot of what he talked about had Pony cringing. Old pranks, old jokes, and gimmicks. It sounds to me like Curly would always compete with Ponyboy, always trying to outdo him in some way by his stories. Whether it be skipping rocks or arm wrestling, he kept boasting about himself, but Pony reminded him that the one thing he couldn't beat him in was a foot race. Curly mentioned that they would have a rematch soon. Pony filled him in on what happened to Dally and Johnny. It filled in some gaps for me too. I learned about the social worker who was on Derry's case to be a suitable guardian. Because of the clashes with the Socs, it made things difficult. Pony ended up getting jumped walking home from the movies, and they cut his neck and threatened to cut his hair. So the Curtis brothers feared that they'd be separated, and Soda and Pony would be put into a boys' home. I learned about Pony reading Johnny Gone with the Wind to kill time as they hid in the abandoned church. A detail that Curly probably didn't even care about. They only had so much money to spend for food, and they stayed in that church for weeks, hiding. They didn't want to get caught by the police, and they feared the worst about the situation. I learned about Randy, the friendly Soch, according to Two-Bit, Marsha's boyfriend, and Bob's best friend. He was one of the drunk Soches who tried to drown Pony. I heard Pony talk about how when Pony finally returned home after the church fire, Randy had a long talk with Pony and respected him for his heroism when he saved the kids from the burning church, and showed him sympathy for Johnny because he was injured and badly burned. He also mentioned how he wasn't going to fight in a big organized rumble between the Greasers and the Soches, and how he wanted to flee and have time to himself. The Greasers won the rumble. Curly made a remark of being proud of the Greasers. He also remarked that he wished that he was there, but he was in the reformatory at the time. Ponyboy made an awkward smirk as if he wasn't sure if he should be proud. Curly asked, "How many Soches did you cream?" Pony said it's hard to remember. He continued talking about Randy and Cherry, and how they defended Ponyboy in court. Since then, Randy and Pony have a mutual respect. Pony also talked about Dally and being shot down by the cops, while he pointed an empty gun at them, how he knew that it was an act of suicide. Curly made a remark saying, "And I thought Dally was tough." Pony yelled at him saying, "Hey man, he was my pal, and a loyal greaser." Curly apologized saying, all right, sorry." Lastly, Pony mentioned that Johnny died from his burns. Then there was a silence. By that time, we were in the parking lot of the school. Curly said, "Those damn Soch bastards." Pony responded, "It's not all of them, okay? Plus, honestly, things have really died down since then." I was hoping that it was really true, and maybe it is. Curly said before we got out of the car, "Just remember, keep your guard up and stay tough." I didn't say a word the entire ride, just sat there quietly in the back seat. Curly is a crazy driver, and I thought Two-Bit was a bad driver. I almost would rather walk. The entire first part of the day, all I could think about was Curly sitting with us at lunch, or even worse, both Shepherds sitting with us. Things were going alright for me, and they would be contaminating it. When lunch came around, to my disappointment, there was Curly at our table, having a laugh with Two-Bit. I rolled my eyes. Pony and Two-Bit were my only friends at school. Angela kinda, I guess, but she always sat with her boyfriend and that Mark guy, and whoever else sat there. I think she liked hanging around older guys, but I was glad she would sit somewhere else. I guess it's because when she's around, I can't be myself. Around Pony and Two-Bit, I could be myself. I wonder if Pony feels the same way with me and Two-Bit. He probably does. I walked over slowly, not looking forward to be sitting with Curly, but who else would I sit with? When I sat down, Curly gave me a wink. I rolled my eyes. I almost barfed. "Curly Shepherd from the Shepherd Gang, back in town," Two-Bit exclaimed. Curly looked around the caf with a smirk and said, "I'm gonna own this school." I hated this guy right away. Who does he think he is? And if he had this Shepherd Gang, how many Shepherds are there? Hopefully their mom is no longer fertile. Then, to make things worse, guess who comes along to sit with us? Angela. Once again in all black. "Hey, Greaser girl," she said with a cheeky smile. "Scout," I responded slowly. "Right," she said back. "You're sitting with us, Doofus?" Angela asked her brother. "What does it look like?" He responded. "Not sitting with that poor whipped boy Brian?" he asked. "I let him go this morning," she said. She looked back at me and winked. Curly laughed and said, "No kidding." I was really disappointed. My fear came true. Let's just have an open house. Anyone can sit. Come one, come all, I thought. Then Pony came into view with a tray. Everyone at our table looked his way. It was clear that he was the center of attention for us. But Pony doesn't try to be. Pony was with somebody. A black boy, a little shorter than Ponyboy, with glasses. He was wearing a yellow sweater and fancy shoes. He had a round face with big eyes. He has a very friendly looking face. Pony was joking around with him as they were making their way over. I was sitting across from Curly. Next to him, to his right, Two-Bit, who was resting on the pillar or post. Beside me was Angela, who distanced herself from me to make room for Pony and so that she'd sit next to him. I rolled my eyes again. How could this girl just leave Brian like that, with no warning? This girl would see this guy every day, even outside of school. Sees Ponyboy one time after hitting puberty, and dumps the poor guy. I almost wanted to talk to Brian to see how he's holding up, but I barely spoke to him the times I was with him. Or maybe he's relieved, but I didn't feel comfortable with it. Pony and the black boy sat. As the black boy sat, he reached out his hand to Curly and introduced himself. "I'm Ben," he said. Curly didn't acknowledge him. He turned to Two-Bit and said, "Did you hear something?" And turned over to Ben and said, "Oh man, I thought you were a shadow." Curly started laughing hysterically. His sister laughed also. Two-Bit smiled, but quickly hid his smile when he made eye contact with Ben. Pony looked mad. I had never seen him like that before. I felt bad. Why did the Shepherds have to sit with us? Ben got up with his tray and said, "Maybe I'm not welcome here." Pony begged, "No, hey, come on, I want you here." He sat back down slowly. Pony tried to make it better, saying Curly was just trying to be funny. Curly raised his eyebrows. I quickly stuck my hand out and introduced myself to Ben. "Hi, I'm Scout." "Oh, like To Kill a Mockingbird," he remarked. "Yeah," I exclaimed. "I'm almost done reading it," I said. "I read it already," he said back. "No kidding," I said bashfully. "Sorry, I'm really excited. I'm really into books," I said. "Same here," he responded. "And I know. Pony told me all about you." He continued. I didn't know what to say, so I just smiled and shrugged my shoulders. Angela lifted her eyebrows outwardly. "What, am I not worth talking about?" Pony introduced Ben to the rest of us. I think he knew the others may not know how to behave. We didn't end up reading Three Musketeers. I wasn't too disappointed, though. Ben made some good conversations. Pony talked with Ben a whole lot. I added to the conversation every now and then. I like Ben. I learned that he's in Ponyboy's advanced English class and loves to write. Pony kept complimenting him on his imagination. Ben complimented Pony back on his writing and his ability to carry out exactly what he wants you to feel. I want to start writing now. The most I write is in this journal or diary or whatever. Ben asked everyone if they had any hobbies. I was embarrassed. Because the Shepherds and Two-Bit had very typical hooligan greaser answers, like racing, stealing, fighting, drinking, smoking, and flirting. Although Two-Bit amused us after saying impersonating Elvis. He gave us a demonstration. Ben remarked that he was spot on. Two-Bit seemed very happy about that. Ben is very nice, polite, and kind of quirky. Although I like him this far, he just doesn't fit with a bunch of greasers, and I don't mean that because he's a colored person. I just don't think he's the rowdy type. He just seems tamed and well-kept, with good morals. He really presents himself that way. I couldn't help noticing that people were giving us looks, probably because Ben was sitting with us. Is it really that big of a deal? Then I took a good look around at the caf. Everybody just sits with their kind. Greasers sit with greasers, socias sit with socias, nerds sit with nerds, and any other group just sit with their kind. Black kids sat with black kids, but there are barely any in this school. I thought for a second. Had I not been poor, with raggedy clothes, and spoke with a nicer vocabulary, I could have easily sat somewhere else. If Pony wears grease in his hair, but doesn't do the stealing and the racing and the drinking and the fighting, and so on and so on, someone else could be a version of that sitting at another table. But that's just how things are. You sit with your kind. Pony had no problem inviting Ben to sit with us, and I enjoyed his company. I really think Ben could be my friend. Angela remarked in a flirtatious way. I'd like to hear your writing sometime, Pony Boy. Me too, I said. She gave me a dirty look. Curly, who was obviously really bored, got up and said, I'm going for a smoke. And he left. Eventually, so did Angela. She couldn't keep up with Pony and Ben talking about books and ideas and stories and stuff. Quite frankly, neither could I, but I had fun listening. I noticed Two-Bit doodling on a page. Although he was sitting across from me, and my view was upside down, I could see he was drawing Elvis, or trying to draw Elvis. I don't think drawing is his thing, but his drawing had enough details. Greased hair with a pompadour lift, sideburns, and a microphone. Ben also noticed. Is that Elvis you're drawing, Two-Bit? Yeah, Two-Bit said excitingly. I've got a couple of his records, Ben added. Two-Bit lit up. No kiddin', he asked. Ben responded, nope. Can I borrow him? Asked Two-Bit. Ben looked at Pony Boy. Two-Bit, who had already mentioned he liked stealing, understood. He reassured Ben, saying, I'll give him back. Ben looked at Pony Boy. Pony told him, I'll make sure that he does. He turned back and said, okay, sure, but I'll have to ask my parents first. Cool, thanks, Two-Bit responded. I think Ben got on Two-Bit's good side. After lunch, Ben went off to his locker, which was far from mine, and Pony's as well. Pony grabbed my arm before we parted ways to our own lockers. He told me, thank you for being cool with Ben. No problem. He seems like a nice and interesting guy, I responded. Pony then said, yeah, but for some people, that doesn't matter. He's right. When I look around this big school full of different-looking people, who's to say you have a good idea of the person behind the face? I remembered the looks people were giving us. They obviously thought it was weird for a colored person to sit with us. White-skinned greasers. But after getting to know Ben that day, it made sense that he'd sit with us. Well, at least with Pony and I. I'd rather sit with Ben than the Shepherds any day. I've read enough books to know not to judge a book by its cover. Pony Boy probably knows that also. And I guess Ben would too.